and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing our brand new dies, cute candy canes, and also peppermint border. So let's go ahead and check these out. First, we're going to take a look at the cute candy cane dies. And of course, it has candy canes. It has these cute frame pieces and then the base pieces, and we'll show you how to layer those in just a second. Then it also has these adorable little berries and holly and a bow, which you can use with the candy canes or on their own too. So for the berries, all you need to do is just add some adhesive to the back of the berries and layer it onto the base, and that'll add the color detail to those cute little berries. And then of course, over top of the holly, you could either layer the bow like this, or you can also layer the little holly berries there. So I like that there's a lot of different ways to mix and match these cute little pieces. So there's the bow, and then of course we can have the berries on there too. Next, we're going to start working on building the candy canes. And there's actually quite a few different ways that you can build these to get different looks, and we're going to be showing you 3 different ways in this video. For this first one, we're going to be inlaying the pieces. So what we're doing is adding some liquid glue onto the frame piece, and then we're just going to layer that onto the base. Then what we're going to do is pop in all of those little die cut pieces that the die creates for you into those little holes, kind of like a little puzzle to create a paper piece look. So here we're going to add some red cardstock, and then we're going to alternate it red and white and red and white. So we're going to add some drops of glue and then just drop in each of those pieces just like that. And you can see this cute candy cane start to form, and it is absolutely adorable. And now we'll repeat the same thing for the other candy cane. So we're going to layer in red, then white, then red, then white in the candy cane. And what I love about this is that we have the candy canes facing in 2 different directions, which makes it really easy to add them onto a card because you can kind of have that nice little detail of them layered over top of each other. So now here you can see our 2 little candy canes and then how they look layered over top. Of course, you can layer the bow over top, or you can add the holly, or you can have the bow and the holly. You can really play around and create a lot of different things. I also really like using this bow and holly separately for fun little details on cards too. Now we're going to take a look at the peppermint border die, which of course has the peppermint border. It has 2 individual peppermints, and then it has these little details in 2 different styles that you can layer over top. So we'll add some liquid glue to the back of one of those details and then layer it onto the little individual peppermint, and I think that is just so cute. That little peppermint is just adorable. And then here is the other style. So they're both really, really sweet. You can mix and match them or just use one style. Here we've done red and white, but you could do pink and red. You could do any colors. You could add extra details with marker onto the base. I mean, there's just so many fun things that you can do. And in the same way that we did the individual peppermints, you can add the layers on to the peppermint border, which is super cute. Here we're alternating the styles, but of course you could do all one style or all the other style, just depending on whatever design that you're going for. And I think these are so sweet. If you change up the colors in these, you could take them from the holidays even into Halloween or other things too, just depending on what colors you use. They'd just be cute little candies. So now it's time to start creating some cards with these, and we're going to start off with this cute candy cane here. And so I'm going to be die cutting these bases from some pixie dust cardstock and then die cutting the frames from some red cardstock. And we're going to keep these candy canes simple. We're just going to layer those 2 pieces together. I've also gone ahead and die cut the bow from some Guava Cardstock, the holly leaves from some Noble Fir, and then some red sparkle cardstock for those berries, and then some red plain cardstock to layer behind them for the details. And so all we need to do now is start adding some liquid glue to layer these pieces together. And so this is a quick and easy way to add color to your candy cane. So we're using red with the frame and then white, but in this case a beautiful white sparkly cardstock to add in the white details of the candy cane. So instead of inlaying all the pieces like we did earlier with cardstock, instead we're just going to overlay the 2 pieces. And so I like that there's different ways that you can put these together, a little more complicated or a little more simple like we've done here. Now we've layered the holly berry pieces, and then I'm just going to use a marker here to add some detail onto the bow. I love doing this because it just makes the die cuts feel a little bit more special. So I'm just going in and adding details where the die already kind of created lines for me so that I can just follow them, and you'll see just how pretty this bow is looking. It makes it really 3-dimensional once you add the marker to it. Now to bring in some extra details, we're going to bring in an oldie but a goodie, which is our Christmas garland die, and has all of these pretty little kind of swag pieces. We're going to use those individual sprigs there, and we're going to die cut that out of some algae cardstock. So we're going to have 2 different shades of green, which is really pretty. And right now I am recreating a card by Callie, so thank you so much, Callie. Now I'm going to take a white gel pen and just add some cute little details onto these die cuts. I'm just adding little lines and little dots just to kind of help them pop. I just think it feels so special. The closer I get to the holidays, the more I bring out my white gel pen because it just looks so nice on there. We'll add some into the little centers of the holly berries and then also onto the bow, and that's going to help it look kind of three-dimensional and really help it pop on the card. Now the base for all these pieces, we're going to use one of the brand new stitched rounded rectangle dies. And so this is the largest of the small rounded rectangles, and I'm going to die cut that from some white cardstock. And now that we have all of these pieces, I wanted to create a background to go along with this. And since we're making candy canes here, I thought the peppermint stripes background would be perfect for this. So I'm starting off here with the thicker stripes. There are thin stripes and thick stripes in this die. Or stencil, excuse me. It is a two-step stencil. And so I'm going to use some lobster ink and I'm going to go over all of the thicker stripes. Then once I have that covered in ink, I can lift that up and that looks so pretty. And now I'm going to bring the thinner stripes in, and you'll see with the thinner stripes, there are some etch guidelines, which is really going to help you easily line it up with the stripes that we've already stenciled onto our cardstock. And so now I'm going to bring in some more lobster ink and just ink over those skinnier stripes. And that's going to give me a really pretty peppermint background that's going to be perfect for my candy canes. So once we've added all of that ink, we can lift it up for the big reveal. And look at this. Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. It's going to be the perfect background for this little candy cane scene that we're creating. So now I've got my peppermint stripes and my rounded rectangle and all of those beautiful things that we die cut earlier. So now I'm going to layer that rounded rectangle right over top of that candy cane stripe. And then we can start to layer all of these pieces together. So I'm going to be adding some adhesive on the back of everything and starting to layer it together. So I'm going to kind of overlap the candy canes just a little bit. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of the bow and then start layering some of the holly to the bow first just to see how it's going to look. And so I'm going to kind of surround the bow with holly so that it looks like somebody tied a bow around the candy canes and then added some little holly sprigs inside, which is just going to be so cute. And once I have all of those leaves in perfect placement, I'm going to layer that right over top of the candy canes. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of the candy canes and start to layer behind all of those little sprigs. And so it's really going to look like this pretty arrangement here. Another thing that's really fun to do with these candy canes is I really like putting them in our Build-A-Drink mason jar die. That's a really, really cute look too. So now that we've added some liquid glue to the back and layered that onto the base, I'm just going to add a couple more little sprigs in there and then layer in those sparkly holly berries, which I think really kind of makes the whole thing. That red sparkle is just so perfect. Now the next thing that we need is a sentiment. So I'm going to be using the brand new Scripty Mary outline add-on. So Scripty Mary is an older die. We're going to die cut that from some gold sparkle. And then the outline base, we're going to die cut that from some vellum. And I love these outline bases because it really helps that sentiment really pop. So now we can just take some liquid glue and add it to the back of our Scripty Mary and then layer that onto that vellum outline. And it just makes it feel so special and so pretty. Now we also need the phrase Christmas here. So we are going to be doing some white heat embossing. So we're going to prep our black cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. We're going to use the word Christmas from the Henry's Build a Sentiment winter stamp set. We can stamp that out in some clear embossing ink, sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder, top off any of the excess, and then we can heat that up with the heat tool to have a nice bright white shiny sentiment. Then we're just going to take some scissors and just trim around this so that there's a nice rectangle right around the word Christmas so that we can layer that onto the card. Then I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of the word Mary, and I'm making sure to just get it on the word Mary and not onto the vellum so that the vellum stays translucent and really pretty like that. And then we can just layer that onto the card base. And then we'll just add some liquid glue to the back of the word Christmas and layer that right underneath. And I like the mixture of the die cut plus the stamp sentiment, which looks so pretty. Then the next thing that we need is a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. I'm just going to add some adhesive onto that, and then we can go ahead and layer this whole card right on there. And now this is done, and this is just so pretty. It looks like the perfect Christmas arrangement with all of the sprigs and holly berries and the candy canes. I just love all of the sparkle. It just makes me smile. So now that we created a little bit more of a simple candy cane with the glitter in the back and the red frame, now I'm going to add some color. So here I've die cut everything out of white cardstock, and we're going to be adding all of our color with markers. I also die cut the frame pieces here, and I was really careful to just kind of let the die pieces all stay in my cardstock just like this so that I could easily add my color with my markers. And what I'm going to do is just add a little line of dark red at the base of every one of those stripes, and then I'll go in and add my medium red and just kind of blend it out nice and quick. And then I'll add my lightest red, which is almost a pink here. And I'm just going to layer that out. And so half of each one of those little pieces is going to be white and half is going to have the red. And so you'll see it's nice and quick and easy. We're going to add our dark red, our medium red, and we can go all the way up. And then I can add my light red, just like that. Then the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take the base piece and cover the entire thing with adhesive so that it's really easy to add in all of my pieces. Then I can layer the frame on top, and then I can start to pop in the pieces, kind of like we did at the beginning. At the beginning, we alternated red and white cardstock, and now I've added all of my color with markers, and this is also going to give me red and white stripes that happen more frequently on the candy cane, which is just a different look and super, super cute too. Then once I've inlaid all of those pieces, I'm going to take a white gel pen and just add little lines, little curved lines on each one of those pieces. And by adding those little curved lines, there's just something about it. It just makes it feel three-dimensional and just so pretty. So I'm just adding a little white line in each one of those little segments of the candy cane, and now it just looks so cute. I love it so much. And so now we just need to repeat the same thing with the other candy cane. Oh, and of course, Miles had to show you his candy cane there too, which is so super cute. Thank you so much, Miles. And so now we're going to work on the next one. So I'm going to cover the whole base with adhesive. We're going to layer our frame over top, and then we're going to pop in each of those little pieces that we added color to with markers. Then, just like before, I'm going to use my white gel pen to add little lines on each of those little pieces of the candy cane to give that fun three-dimensional look. And now that these candy canes are done, they're looking so super cute. We're going to add color to the rest of our images. So I like doing this. I like die cutting pieces out of white cardstock and just adding all of my color with markers. It just feels really special. For the base of the holly berries there, I did a really dark red, and then I used the same shades of red that I added on the candy cane to add color to the rest of the berries. And then all we need to do is just add some adhesive on the back and layer that over top of the base, and that adds that fun little detail. Then, of course, we're going to add some white gel pen lines onto the berries too so that they'll match our candy canes that we created earlier. Next, we're going to add some color to these holly berries. So I'm just going to do my dark green and then my light green. And then I'm going to go back in there and just add a little bit more detail right on that little cut line that the die created. And then I'm just going to use a white gel pen to add some detail onto the leaves. For the sentiment, we're going to be using winter big scripty words, but we're actually just going to use the coordinating die instead of using the stamp, which is a really fun way to use this die. So I've die cut the fa la la, and we're going to add some color with markers just like we've done with everything else. And right now I am recreating a gorgeous card by Elena, so thank you so much, Elena. Now to add color to these letters, I'm using the same red markers as we did earlier, adding the dark, the medium, and then the light, which is just looking so pretty on this, and I love that everything's going to coordinate. And then of course I'm going to take my white gel pen and just add some curved lines along the curve of this cute little sentiment. Next, we're going to die cut the largest stitched rectangle frame to be a frame for this card. And I'm die cutting this from some white cardstock, and we're going to add color with markers again. We're going to go along the outside edge with a darker light blue marker, and then the inside with a lighter marker. And just by going over it just like that, they're both going to blend together and create this really pretty frame. Then the next thing we're going to do is take out some vanilla malt cardstock, and we've cut that to be 5.5 by 4.25, just like the frame. And then we're also going to take some of this awesome Let It Shine paper here. I love this red and white stripe. We're going to layer that on the bottom, and then we'll add some liquid glue onto the frame and then layer that over the top. And I really like the vanilla malt cardstock as the base here because it's really going to let our red and white candy canes really pop. Now I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of the sentiment and layer that where the pattern paper and the cardstock meet, and I like that it kind of creates the border between the two of them. Then we can go ahead and start layering our candy canes together. And so I'm going to add some adhesive on the back and layer those. And then we can add some foam squares onto those candy canes so that they have a nice pop on the card. And this is already looking so cute. I love the red and white theme. Then we're going to add some foam squares to the back of the berries and also these little leaves, and we're going to layer these on top. So we're going to add some of the holly leaves right there, and then we can just layer the berries right at the end of those, just like that. And so this is going to be just so cute. I love the pop of green on there, and we can just layer those berries right on top, and it's just so sweet. Now for some extra detail, Elena added some little Nuvo drops here into the background. And so that's what we're going to do too. So I'm just going to add little drops here, just little sizes all around to give some really fun texture. And I think it's just so cute for the holidays. And so I'm just filling in the whole card, kind of going in there, finding all of the empty spots. And there you can see how gorgeous they look. It is just so much fun. I love creating these candy canes, and these cards just make me smile. And speaking of candy canes and other sweet treats, Shari is now going to create the cutest peppermint card. So take it away, Shari.
So I'm making a sweet card today using the new peppermint border dies, and I cut my border from some Yeti paper. This is that white paper with the gold foil flecks. I've also cut out the center of my peppermint from some Guava Cardstock, and I'll actually be using the single peppermints on my card as well. I'm using papers from the Candy Cane Lane Petite paper pack, so I have this light blue stripe with the gold foil and also this light blue with the little snowflakes. And I'm cutting this down to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. And then with my stripes, I'm just cutting it to be 4 1/4 wide because I'm going to trim those down. So the panel with the little snowflakes is my overall background for my card. So I'm adding this to my card base. And then I'm going to cut strips of this stripe, and then the border will be where that pattern kind of terminates. And I decided about 1 inch is all I really needed. I cut one at first because I thought about making the bottom one larger, but I ended up in the end making them both the same. So I'm adding that stripe paper across the top. My peppermints will be at the very bottom, but I need to go ahead and assemble them. So I'm putting a little bit of liquid glue on the back of the little spirals and just layering them right into the center of the border. Now this die has 2 different swirls that you can use. These are the ones that do not have a border around the outside edge, but you're going to see that I'm going to use the ones with the border on this card as well. So I'll have 2 different kinds, or 2 different styles, I should say, of peppermints on my card. And I think cutting this border out of that pattern paper with the gold flecks just gives it a little more interest than just plain white cardstock because you have those little shivers of gold in the background. I've added some foam squares to the back of my peppermints, and I'm just lining them up to where those 2 pattern papers meet right in the center of my border. And then I can just trim off the excess. And then I need to do the same to the bottom, and here's where I decided that I would just make them nice and even. Depending on what you are going to put in the middle, you could always make these borders a little bit taller. So I'm doing the same for this peppermint border, adding those little foam squares to the back of the peppermints, lining it up where those 2 papers meet, and then I'll just trim off the parts that hang off the side of my card base. Now for my sentiment, I'm using the Scripty Mary cut from some Guava Cardstock, and then I'm also using the new Scripty Mary outline die. And I cut this from some Pixie Dust Sparkle Cardstock. So we're going to get that really fun white glitter shadow all the way around this big bold sentiment. So I'm just adding some liquid glue to the back of my Scripty Mary. The die creates a little etch line so you know exactly where to line up the word. And I'll just put that aside to dry and work on my single peppermints. So I cut these from that same cardstock with the gold flecks, and then the swirls are cut from the same guava cardstock. And I'm just layering these together so I have some individual peppermints to sprinkle around my card, and you can kind of see the different look between the 2 different styles of peppermints. Now I wanted to use the 2 different styles so that not all my peppermints looked exactly the same, and as I tuck these single peppermints kind of up underneath that border that's popped up, it makes them stand out a little bit more from the peppermints that are a part of the border. So I do have this really wide space in the center, and I wanted to fill it a little bit more than just with my sentiment, and I thought I needed to add some more sweets to this card. So I pulled out Sweet Christmas, and I am stamping these cute little gingerbread people onto a piece of craft cardstock using some clear embossing ink and then adding some white embossing powder. This will make it look like the icing details on a gingerbread man. And I chose to put these on the craft cardstock because it's a little bit lighter, because I really do have kind of a pastel color scheme going on this card, so I didn't want them too dark. And I'll just use the coordinating dies to cut these out, and then I'll have some cute little gingerbread cookies to add to my card. And I felt like the perfect place for these little gingerbread people were tucked behind this bottom peppermint border, like they're popping up from behind the peppermints. And I think that this really filled the space nicely. Now I needed to finish off my sentiment, so I pulled out the Offset Sayings Christmas stamp set because it has all these little words where you can build a sentiment. And I'm pulling out the little words that spell out May Your Holidays Be. So I can stamp this above the word Merry. And I'm using Hippo ink to stamp this so that I have that kind of softer gray sentiment to go along with the pastel colors of my card. And then, of course, I'm going to pop up the word Merry right below that stamped part of the sentiment. For the embellishments on this card, I pulled out some gold gems because I thought it would go great with the little gold flecks in the peppermint as well as the gold foil in the stripes. And I'm just adding some of those sprinkled around for a little bit more shine. And then here is my finished card with those really fun peppermint borders. I love the single peppermints. I like that you have two different choices in this die set. And I love this pastel look of this holiday card as well.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I love this card so much. The peppermints are so sweet, and I love the little gingerbread men too. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And here, Audrey created the cutest card combining our coffee cup with the peppermints and the candy canes to make a perfect holiday treat. Next up, we have our peppermint border in combination with our treat cart coffee add-on. And I think this is so cute, and it makes an adorable little ground. This card by Callie is the one that inspired us to make ours today. I just love this little candy cane bouquet that she created. And in this card here, we used just the holly and the berries from the cute candy cane to decorate our Feliz Navidad card, which is so much fun. Megan's peppermint latte is just the cutest thing ever. I love all the little peppermints around our giant coffee cup. And then here's the card by Elena that inspired us to make our cute candy cane card. I love all the details that she added with her markers. This card by Yanea is so sweet. She used the candy cane background stencil with our cute little peppermints to create the sweetest card. And then here, Maureen shows us that that peppermint border is great for year-round too. By using different colors, she was able to make it into the perfect Halloween card with our fortune teller Tabby telling fortunes in this awesome reveal wheel card. This card here by Tammy is so sweet. I love the gingerbread men with the adorable candy canes in this fun latte card. And then this card by Shari is so much fun. I love how the peppermints and the candy canes are just a perfect match together. So we cannot wait to see all of your cute candy cane and peppermint cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!